In fact, I am sitting in front of a round table, which is kind of interesting here in good old Bardstown, Kentucky. Doing a quick video. Been hearing a lot about microtransactions of late, all over YouTube. And please pull up a chair if you're able. Grab that mug of beer if you can. I don't have any money right now, so I'm actually flying dry. I've actually been dry for several days now, which is probably a good thing. Anyway, I was reading about different videos about the whole new Shadow of Mordor, the new series, and the next one, War for Mordor, or War for Paymore, or whatever the new thing where we're going to have microtransactions in that, where you can buy like loot boxes and stuff in that game. And even though it's a single player game, it's weird that that multiplayer style device is reared its head in that. I'm sort of against the idea of a single player game having microtransactions like that. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense until they announce that you can raid each other's bases and stuff in the game, kind of like how Injustice 2 does the whole AI like battle simulator. It's very similar in that regard. So here we have these microtransactions in a single player game. Let's face facts, people. Microtransactions will never go away. A lot of the problem this stems from the fact that these AAA games that come out, and some that are not so AAA, but claim to be, they cost so much money to make now that $60 alone is not enough to make up the difference. Because once they have to sell so many units, they got to pay their employees, they got to keep the lights on, they got to like pay on the lease of a building, and whatever goes on. There's a lot of money involved, and the point is that you would think that they would just charge more for a game. Now, if a game AAA title came out and it was 80, let's say it was $80, it was $79.99, that would probably help. But there's a backlash against them ever increasing the prices of games. $60 for a game has been a long, long time. Many years of it costing that much. At one point, games used to be $50, like PlayStation games and stuff, and then it's just 60 is now the roundabout time. I would not care if they increased the price of the game, but I also am not totally 100% against microtransactions if they're done well and correct. I know at last episode I did, or the episode before that, where I kind of went on a rant and rave. I had a little drink that night, as I do sometimes, and I talked about how Ubisoft did this with like a Rainbow Six, and how 15,000 for a character would be if you made 100 experience points, renown points, whatever it's called in the game, renown. And if you only made 100, you would have to pay 150 matches to unlock one character. That's insane. Instead of 1,500, which would be 15 matches. They arbitrarily increased the level of grind it would take, where most people say, well, I'll just pay some money and get them now. Why not? Who cares, Because even the season passes that cost $20, $24.99, whatever, are not like providing everything that game has to offer. The season passes for Star Wars Battlefront did not. The season passes for Evolve did not. And we're seeing this more and more, where season passes are not covering every aspect of the game, when just a few years ago a season pass meant if you buy this one time for $20, you get everything no matter what it is, period. And it's not being covered anymore. So here we are faced with these microtransactions. I actually would rather call them macro transactions, because you've already spent 60. You're going to spend $24 on a season pass, or $20. Let's say 20. That's 80. Then you're going to spend, X amount on any kind of microtransactions that might help your character, or it might be cosmetic. Again, it's more of a macro pay than a micro pay. A microtransaction should be micro, which means small. $20 is not small to me. $20 for most people is gas money to get to and from work, or it could be 2-3 meals, depending on where you go. So my point is that these are not micro. A microtransaction would be like our season pass is $4.99, or just do what Sniper Ghost Warrior 3 did, which was you spend $60, you automatically get the season pass, and everything is going to come out with it. Thanks. My point with this microtransactions, they're here to stay. YouTube community, gaming community out there, microtransactions will always be here. Where the problem is that companies screw up on is they willfully and knowingly say, well, you can just grind it out in the game and still earn it anyway without having to spend any money, but then you arbitrarily don't include this message. Yeah, but you're going to have to grind for months and months and months and months and months in order to get somewhere. Let's talk about Warframe. Here's a game that I'm very intimate with, that I played for a long time when I first got my PlayStation 4. It's had, God, I think 20 plus updates since then, and a lot of cosmetic changes. But Warframe does the same thing. Warframe does this. Our game has microtransactions. It's free to play, but this is how we pay for the game, the content that we, as the creators, Digital Extremes, this is how we justify the cost. The problem with Warframe is while it's a fun game to play, it's like a third-person Destiny in many ways. The problem with Warframe, with its microtransactions, is this. Let's just take my story. So the Archwing, which is I think the third story mission in the game where you actually progress the story, which, you know, the grind in that game is ridiculous, which is what I'm getting at. The progression in Warframe is so ridiculous. So, like, I was on the Archwing mission, and I played with a guild that I joined. I also played with randoms when the guild was not on, because the guild consisted of about 8 or 9 people, and they weren't always on. That's just how it is. And the mission to get the Archwing, you had to get certain, like, items. It was 4 different items, a blueprint, this and that, you know, to create this thing, so you can get into space and fly around and battle and do stuff. It's a very cool level when you do get it. The problem is that it's a story mission, and you go to this planet, and the mission itself does not guarantee those parts. It's very similar to Destiny Year 1, where if you went on a raid, you might get Ascendant shards and crap like that, but you would not get at all, you would not get any at all armor or weapons. But see, in Warframe, I went and did this mission to get the Archwing. 3 months later, I still didn't have all the parts. And I was very frustrated by this because I wanted to continue the story. I'm like, the story mission to get these parts should guarantee those parts. They don't. You may get them, you may not get them. Warframe is built around the structure of buying platinum. So, but I found out that I decided that I was so just done. I was so tired of grinding for this thing just to progress the third story mission. I ponied up some money, and I believe I spent, I think $9.99, got the platinum I needed, and bought the damn thing. But it wasn't over then, because now that I got it, I was like, finally I got this. And then it said, oh, well, it takes, 3 actual real days to build, to craft. When you go to your crafting menu in your ship, I thought, you can't even craft it instantly. But you can instantly craft it if you spent more platinum or real money. And I was so frustrated at the fact that I spent that money. I spent another $5 and instantly had it done just to progress that story mission, because those parts were not guaranteed on that story mission. But that's the grind of that game. They can, and Digital Streams have said this, like many companies have said, you can grind this and get any weapon, armor, warframe, anything in this game if you grind for it. But none of it's guaranteed. None of it is. You could grind and grind and grind and grind and grind and grind for months, if not years, and never get what you need. This is the idea of the microtransaction. They willfully create the game as a platform to sell. They know that that most people are not going to go, I am not going to spend a year of my life playing a game for one fucking thing, or one or 2 or 3 different items. Ubisoft, I know I stab at them a lot, but they are the kings of this. They are the absolute kings of the microtransaction. They do this. They did it with Rainbow Six, which I pointed out about how the renown system works. They've done it with their open world Division. They've done it with um, all their games pretty much, except for, and even though, and I know Assassin's Creed has it, but Assassin's Creed does give you a lot of content, so I feel like it's a softer blow. Watch Dogs 2, which is an amazing title by Ubisoft that they barely advertised or pushed, and in many ways is better than GTA 5. It's better than that game, but no one bought it or played it. Um, they don't have all that going like they do their other platforms. It's only the multiplayer things that seem to have this. The Division's dead. The Wildlands has come and gone. Nobody really, I know, is really talking or playing the game. Again, it's the same situation because there's a long grind between, or you pay up and you get it now. And the problem with these microtransactions is that's the way they're handled. We as a community, as gamers, are pissed because we know this. It's very unspoken. Like, even on YouTube channels where they talk about this, I've only seen one or two really focus in on this as a problem. You, as a company, arbitrarily increase the grind to a point where we don't wish to take that much time. Because there are other games out there that are coming out. And then if I devote time to this game, then and this other game I want comes out, well, how am I going to devote to two games? And what if that game is set up like this game? You'll never, ever complete anything. There's very few gamers I talk to nowadays that I ask, hey, out of your games library, how many games have you went from start to finish? You saw an ending, the middle act, and the beginning. You saw everything. And you know how many people usually tell me, oh, I've done that with all my games, or half my games, or even 2 or 3 of my games. Very few, if not any at all, ever tell me they've ever completed one of their games. Because that's the nature of games now, is to play them indefinitely. They almost have an underlying score of let's make you play this game for as long as humanly possible and dump as much money as we can into it, because that's the nature of the game. You know, they want to make money off the game for a long time, 1 year, 2 years, 3, 4, 5 years down the road. That's the way it works. And that's why microtransactions are so prevalent. That's why we as a community of gamers, and especially me, the Juiceman, you know, dislike that. Now, microtransaction, though, has had a positive effect more so than a negative effect, or maybe it's about even. But the positive effect is, what's the positive effect of microtransactions? Here's the positive effect of microtransactions. We as gamers are so just done playing these games and spending $60 on it and realizing it's a grind to the point where I don't want to grind and I don't want to spend more money. This is ridiculous, that we're looking to other games that don't have this. Indie titles, you know, games that we see on the PSN network or the Xbox network where are like these one-off $20 titles or $30 titles. You're like, that's a really cool game, and it gives me all this content, and it doesn't have this problem. It's one of the reasons that I love Omega Force, because when they do sell DLC, it's cosmetic stuff, weapons, you know, here's 72 weapons for $2, you know, for your Dynasty Warriors or whatever. There's no grind in that game outside of what you want to do. Now, granted, characters do gain levels, but even then, I can sit down and complete an entire run of Dynasty Warriors Empires with a brand new character from start to an ending in about 4 hours, if I really just do nothing else, and then start over if I want to. Other games you gain levels, but it's there, but the levels come quick. It's not arbitrary. You don't have to grind. It's just a fun game. And thank you, Omega Force, for that. Even this game that gets ripped on, Transformers Rise of the Darkspark, yes, there was a weapon pack you could buy and this and that, but nothing about, you don't have to grind. You get a lot of rewards real fast, real quick through the game, and they didn't add that in there. Any titles that I like Victor Vron, for the main base game, you get so much content, and you don't have to, and there's nothing to buy. You know, nothing to buy. There's a couple things you can buy in Adventures of Van Helsing, but they're just a helmet here or a piece of garb. They're not going to be like the ultimate thing. There is, outside of that, there's nothing. And it's like a $14 game with a bunch of content, 60 hours worth of play. we as gamers are looking to these indie titles. Look at Spiders. Look at the Technomancer. And I know I talk a lot about this game, but Technomancer is so good. And it is like the BioWare games from... People talk about how BioWare games like the KOTOR series and stuff from the 2000s and 90s, and how BioWare games were better years ago. Well, Spiders is BioWare from year 2000. That's what they are. You're going to get that same really awesome gameplay. And when asked point blank, creative directors of Technomancer, will there be DLC? Will there be microtransactions? His response was, no, there is no DLC we are creating for this game. There is no microtransactions. This is a self-contained game. Period. One-time price. You get everything. And yes, I've put 100 hours in the Technomancer because there's that much content on the side to do, large worlds to explore. There's 3 big areas, outside, indoors, all this stuff, and it's just, again, this great game. And that's what I'm talking about. And there are game companies, Obsidian, they made Skyrim. There's mods and stuff, but there's no real microtransactions. You could play that game for 300 hours. But I'm talking about the general multiplayer stuff. Look at For Honor. Now, I do knock Ubisoft a lot, but I buy a lot of their games because they are aesthetically pleasing, even though they're all just one gimmick. Now, when I play For Honor, I don't play online because the online community For Honor is BS. They're horrible. They play, but they play very dirty. They don't. That whole joke about there is no honor when you play For Honor, but that's the case. Now, they are adding dedicated servers. They did add bot matches. That's what I play. I play bot matches, or I play free mode, which is like an unending mode where you play one character until you die. And it's a fun game to play against bots. I can set the level of difficulty. Playing against a level 3 bot is like playing against a really, really skilled human. But I will not, and have not, and refuse to give them any money for that game, because the grind in that game is very similar to Rainbow Six's grind and other games they have created. You are playing this game for weeks, if not months. They're already on season 3 of this game. Season damn 3. The game's only like a year old, So it's like, you're already on season 3? How come your season pass didn't cover all the different things in the game? Because we're Ubisoft. We want you to pay for these microtransactions, ladies and gentlemen. We want you to pay. They know that the steal in the game, that you would have to grind and grind and grind and grind to get anything unlocked in this game. And they know this. And they know people are not going to get online and just sit here and grind for months and hours and spend 4 hours a day every day on the game just to unlock a character or whatever in the game, right? They're not. It takes a long time. They know this, but they have where you can go online and buy steel or gold or whatever it is, and they know this. They did it on purpose. We want people to put all this money into For Honor because we know that the grind is going to take you months to get these characters or whatever items in the game. We know that you don't want to spend your next 6 months of your life playing this game every day. It's the only game you're going to play. We know this, so you're going to have to pony up some money if you want the stuff quick. And our season pass, while will give you some stuff, it doesn't cover everything. They do it on purpose. They sit around and figure out how can we make money off the gamer? Because the $60 price tag does, even if we sell 2 million copies, 3 million copies, is still not enough to offset the cost of we got to pay the publisher, we got to pay the 300 employees that worked on it, we got to pay the lights, we got to pay the lease on the building, we got to pay. There's so much money involved outside of that. We got to pay the CEOs of our company. Ubisoft CEO makes like $26 million, so we got to pay him. We got to pay this guy. We got to pay this person. We got to pay the janitor. It's not just the game is $60, and that's why these microtransactions are there. They're there to pay up all the additional cost. The other problem, though, with the games, however, has been that they don't give us a whole lot of content in these games. They just aren't giving us the content. There's not much there. It's very bare bones effort. And again, that's a way they save cost. They can sit there all day long and say, we've been developing this game for 3 years. No, you haven't. No, you have not came to work with one team every day, 12-hour days, 10-hour days, 8-hour, whatever. Let's just say an average 8-hour every day for 3 years. Because if that was the case, and you have all these people working on it, this game should have hundreds of hours of content to it. You're lying. You know you've come to work. You work on this game. You work on other games. Ubisoft they work on multiple games at one time. So that's a lie. I bet collectively For Honor took about 1 year to make, if not 8 months to make. The engines are out there. A lot of this stuff is drag and drop now, animation and wise and stuff. And that's what's going on. If you understand how it works, that's why microtransactions are prevalent in our games. We as gamers can completely not buy any of it, right? That may cause a game to fail. It may cause a company to go under. But the point is that only we have the power to stop it. I'm not saying that stop it, we'll never see it again. I'm saying that we don't have to spend the money, and we don't have to do the grind, right? We should just be satisfied with what we're getting, or we need to do our homework before we buy the damn game in the first fucking place. That's what I'm talking about. Microtransactions will be in our games going forward, especially since this new, Shadow of Paymore that's coming out, or whatever, this War for Mordor, that has a single player. It's a single player game, yet it has microtransaction loot boxes in it, because there's this offline kind of, he raided my base and whatnot, and it doesn't really affect, it's a little meta game. But that's my point, that these microtransactions are never going to go away. They will be in our games from now on end. And the game companies will do everything in our power to increase that arbitrary grind, to make it where it's not worthwhile to spend our entire moment grinding to do that. The positive side is the indie companies out there, the smaller game companies, those are the games are highly successful now, because people are looking to games that don't do it. That's what has been the positive aspect of microtransactions versus the negative. I think there's more negative than positive, but when I go to, let's say, the PlayStation Network, and I look at what's come out, new games, I look at what is out there, I've bought a lot of titles that I did not know about or knew or heard about, like perfect example, a Redout's coming out. It's coming out on the 29th. It's an F-Zero style, like, arcade futuristic racer. It looks beautiful. It's wonderful. There's no demo for it. It's not even on the PlayStation Network as a pre-order. It's weird that the game it's not shown up yet. It'll show up the day it comes out. But it's a $30 title, that looks amazing. It's gotten very good reviews, and there's no microtransactions. There's no arbitrary grind. There's none of that in the game. You just race and have fun and unlock cars and unlock equipment and customize the vehicles, and you can do all that. That's an indie title now, or at least a middle market title, and that's where I look at. I look at games like that. I was really interested in getting Agents of Mayhem, and I haven't looked enough into Agents of Mayhem to make I don't know if I really want to spend $60 on it. I'm a big fan of Volition Games, but I was looking at it thinking, are they going to do, I know you have 12 agents in the game. Do they take a long time to unlock? Or do I have to pony up, or can I pony up real money and get them all unlocked at one time? Is there microtransactions in that game? I don't know. I haven't looked enough into it. I'm interested in the game because I do like open world games, especially Saints Row and things like that, and I like some of the things I've seen about it. The reviews have been up and down. Some people scored it a 4, some people gave it a 7. So I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to spend $60 on it. It doesn't look like it's worth $60 to me at the moment, even though I would like to play it, but unfortunately they did not provide a demo on the network for that. But I digress. This is my point. Microtransactions are here to stay. They're never going to go away. The only thing we can do as gamers is just not when when we're going to make a purchase of a game, before we make that purchase, let's take a look at it, and if it has Ubisoft's logo on it, you forget it. You already know it's there. You already know you're going to spend the next 4, 6, 8, 9 year, whatever months, year to get anything in that game. You already know it's there. So do your unless it's maybe an Assassin's Creed, which is going to have that, but at least in Assassin's Creed they will give you a lot to do and content wise. But you're going to see that. And you're going to see that going forward. You're going to see this in 2K games. They did this with We Happy Few recently. Like Gearbox took over it. It was a $30 title. Now it's a $60 title. Now there's microtransactions. Now there's all this crap in the game when it didn't need it before because they wanted to go AAA with it. I think that's a mistake. Now, that's not fair. That's why I can look at a game like Sniper Ghost Warrior 3 and look at it, and regardless of its faults or bugs, which or whatever goes on in the game, which has been patched and fixed now, by the way, there's none of these issues. It's funny that the game offers this Far Cry-like experience, and the Season Pass comes out, and it's funny because everything in that game I've gotten for free. For one price, $60, no questions asked. Got somebody that I guess decided to message me on my channel here. I do not speak this language. It just says Transformer, Lutadores, Fajoro. No, question. I don't know. I don't know what that means. I'm sorry, I can't answer your question. I don't speak your language. It's okay. We're all different people, different parts of the world. I wish you well. Thank you, though, for at least tuning in, even if you can't understand me. I'm just talking about microtransactions. This has been episode 52 of the Gaming Round Table. I will be back, but not today, but I'll probably be back Thursday night, I'm thinking, because then I would have been paid and have some money and get some beers, and I'll have another subject for you. I just wanted to cover microtransactions and kind of why they are there. Like, why are they there? They're there not just to make more money, but like I said, the company's got to pay the lights, the employees, the salaries, the janitor, the lease on the building, all that stuff. All that factors in to that. So understanding that that the microtransaction is there for a very specific reason, because $60 is not enough to cover these costs anymore. It's just not. And there's no way they're going to charge $100 for a game, even though they do have these deluxe versions and stuff where they do that, but not the everyday version's never going to go up to $100, not at least for a long time. But let's just throw it out there, though. Like I said, the microtransaction is there. The negativity of the arbitrary grind, which I already covered, and all that, that's the problem with microtransactions. They do it on purpose. They know that we're not going to want to spend months playing this game to get one or two things unlocked. So just fuck it. I'll just use real money and get it now. But like I said, the positive has been the indie companies out there that are making some really cool games that are in the $20 category, $30 category, have done really well because they're not doing that. And we're looking to other companies to do that. I'm the Juice Man 3941. Thank you for joining the Gaming Roundtable in episode 52. I will be back tomorrow night with another episode of the Gaming Roundtable. And as always, gamers, good gaming.